Alright guys, what's up? MR.TwoSix checking back in. So we're going to be installing some flares, at least on the front of the Miata. It's time. I'm not digging the pokey look without a body panel to cover the tire. So we're going to do that. And basically we're just going to go step by step on how we're going to do that because this is my first time doing it. And yeah, it's going to be a little uncomfortable cutting the fenders. So let's get to it. Alright, so first things first is we're going to mark the holes that we're going to drill for the washers and the bolts. And then what I did is I took this washer, which I ordered a set, and for these flares I couldn't get these off of Amazon because the ones on Amazon are too big. So what I did is I just put the washer in there, and then with a gold marker I just basically marked it. So I did the same all the way around on 1, 2, 3, 4. This has 6 holes. So with that marked, now we're gonna go ahead and make the holes. Alright guys, so I just finished putting the holes in the flares. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about the flares themselves and the hardware we're going to use to attach them to the car. So these flares is interesting. I got them right before Russia had invaded Ukraine. And the reason why I bring that up, because the company that makes these flares, it's either Jumdoo or Gumdoo, Jumdoo or Gumdoo. They're Russian. And they make a lot of nice flares. They sell some of their stuff basically obviously from Russia, and I believe France is another country that distributes their products. And needless to say, you can't find them now. So you can't find them on eBay. I tried to order stuff through their French affiliate and order wouldn't go through, so I gotten these flares right before the invasion. So maybe these are the last pair, I don't know, or last set, because I have 4 actually. So anyways, Jumdoo or Gumdoo, these are 90mm basic, kind of like bubble flares, nothing special. They're pretty flexible. The quality is actually pretty good. I'm happy with the quality for what I paid. 150 for per pair, which wasn't too bad. And then the kicker is that the notches for the hardware is smaller than your typical universal flares. So I ended up buying some hardware off of Amazon. They were too big. The washers don't fit inside these smaller holes, so I ended up having to get hardware from what's the name of the company? Should be on the spec. Yeah, I think ZSpec Design. They make a lot of stuff for 240Zs, 260s, 280Zs, and since a lot of people put flares on those cars, they had hardware, washers, riv nuts, the entire shebang. Yeah, ZSpec Design. I don't know if that'll come up. We'll get a closer view, but then these fit right in there perfectly. So, and with M5 hardware, they came with riv nuts. They have the metal washer, and they also have rubber washers that go underneath the metal. And then I also have a riv nut tool, so that's fun. I tested one at home. It's pretty cool. It's like one of those things that you do it the first time, you're like, oh man, this is awesome, because you see everybody do it online and it's like, oh man, I did it. So basically, I got this kit off of Amazon. I don't remember how much I paid, $50 or $60, and quality wise it's pretty good. I have zero complaints. I've only used it once, but I mean, it's pretty easy to use and straightforward. There's not much to it. So now that I've shown you pretty much everything, here comes the fun part, is mocking up the flares on the fenders before doing any cutting or drilling on the fenders themselves, measuring everything, and then cutting. That's the fun part. So in my mind, I have an idea of how I want to at least line these up with the original height of the original Flares, fenders. But needless to say, it's one of those things. You know, you measure 2 or 3 times, 4 or 5 times before you make that first cut. It's just one of those things you don't want to mess up unless you don't care. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We're gonna get to it now. We're gonna start mocking up if the weather allows it. Damn it! Because in Florida, you have to understand, in the summer it's blazing hot. When you get overcast, if I could just get overcast with no rain right now, it would be perfect. It feels like springtime right now. But once that sun comes out and it's beaming, and especially after it rains and you get the humidity, oh my god, it's brutal. It's freaking brutal. So I'm hoping it stays like this. It just stays overcast and we can just push through, because it's very comfortable right now. So let's go ahead and try to mock these things up and see what we could do. All right. So my plan is. You good? Or, oh fuck! What? Just felt a drop.
It's right here.
All right. Is it recording?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So my plan is, as far as measuring, I want the bottom of the flare to actually match the bottom of the stock fender. Because what I've seen happen, because I've seen people, when they put flares in general on other cars, they put them too low. And to me, they look like shit. So what I want to do is I want to at least match the stock flare height and then go from there. So what I'm using is whatever I have. So I have a towel. And I'm using this to add extra tension, because what I'm going to use is basically a piece of like fencing which fits right in here perfectly, and the towel just helps. It's just that little extra that adds more tension to the board. So that like that, and I'm going to fold this under, you know, bringing the board up basically, and I'm just making sure that I'm eyeballing it. That basically the center hub is matched up with as close to center of the board as possible. So that way when you put the flare on top, it should have or mimic the same line as the OEM fender. Right now, see, it's resting on the board, so we can start measuring.
No, don't get it.
And I could probably bring this down a smidge. There we go. Let's see if I'm, yeah, like that. If I do that, and then the other side, you know, we should be pretty good. Obviously, you want to make sure that the flare itself is more centered. You know, there's a bunch of things you have to take into account. That's pretty much the idea, but you get it. All right, so it was becoming a little more difficult than what we wanted. So what we did is we just measured our 2 center points. So we're gonna at least get these in, anchor the flare down, and then we can kind of bend it where we need to get it, and then mark the places that we're gonna cut off the excess. So that's pretty much what we're gonna do now. There's no turning back. This is it.
get the cushion, I get the car. How's that fair?
You have a bigger butt. My butt's not bigger.
Really?
Is it recording?
Yeah.
She wanted me to pretend screwing because we missed it screwing because the last battery died. So here I am. Alright, so we got it on. We're gonna redo the other side. A couple things that we noticed, measurements wise. So Mrs. 2.6 had this brilliant idea. She was like, instead of cutting anything now, let's just leave it on, because I know how you are, and leave it on for a week. Let the flare kind of mold with the heat, you know, because it's gonna be 100 degrees every day. You know, and every day I look at the car, you know, when I get home from work, when I leave work. If I'm happy with where the flares are from a height perspective, like I don't feel like they're too low, which they're not. I mean, I have an extra ½ an inch. The bottom of this is a ½ an inch higher than the bottom of the original flares. If I'm happy, then next week we cut the excess. I mean, there's a lot of excess back here, and very little up here in the front, but to be honest, turning the wheel, it gets closer back here, a lot closer than it does in the front. So I'm actually kind of happy with the way we put the passenger side on. It looks a lot better. We kind of just like put the flare on and like let it sit, whereas on the other side we put the 2 points on and then we kind of like forced it so it like pinched like certain areas. So we're gonna redo that side, but all in all, I mean, I'm happy with the way this side looks. The only thing is now, the hard part, as all of you know, is duplicating something on the other side. So yeah, so it's not difficult. Yesterday we ran into an issue. That's why we couldn't finish yesterday. One of the riv nuts didn't seat properly, so it would just spin freely. So that was a 3-hour ordeal to get that off. If not, we would have been finished yesterday. But so yeah, so let's get to the other side and knock that one out. Alright, so as you can guys see, these were the first riv nuts that we placed. Going off of the other side, you can see that how far we're off. I'm about to make this hole here, and again, we're using these more outer holes. So yeah, we were pretty off, but that's fine. You know, for the most part it'll be covered or cut off. Well, these will be covered, those will be covered, so I'm not too worried about any of it. The front bumper is going to look like crap because the riv nuts are a little bit further out than where they are on the other side, but I'm not sweating it. So having fun and learning, that's all it is. Are you serious?
The other side? Damn, and the camera's not high enough to have contact.
Oh well.
What is it?
No, you're gonna have to open the hood to get to it. Alright guys, so that's it. We got the flares on. For now, I'm pretty happy. Even though this side is a little bit lowered, we measured it every which way to match the other side, and it's exact. So the only thing I could probably attribute it to is suspension. So, you know, since my fat ass, 250 pounds, sits on the driver's side of the car, the suspension is more settled, I guess you could say. So could just lift up this side, you know, maybe the 1/4 inch or ½ inch that I need, and then we'll be good matching the other side. So I measured from the floor to the bottom of the lip, every single mark, everything, and it's just, so just not gonna sweat it. I'm happy with the way it looks, with the exception of the riv nuts here on the bumper. God damn it. But whatever, at this point I don't care. I just want to get the car done so I can go have fun with it. And then Mrs. 2.6 in the passenger seat can have fun because she doesn't want to drive this car. So, oh my God, the mosquitoes are starting. All right, let's get this off. So yes, see you guys next time. Peace. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Deuces.
Ew. Disgusting.
Put them to clean too. Right?
Yep. Yeah. Alright guys, so a week has passed since we put the flares on. After leaving and coming back from work every day for about 5 days and looking at the car from each and every angle, from behind, the front, front left, front right, down, up, left, right, every which way, I'm happy. So today we're gonna cut these bitches up. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and mark where we're gonna cut the fenders. Luckily on the Miata, at least on the MBs, you have this little lip here, this line. So that's the line I'm gonna follow. We did the other side already, so yeah, and I'm pretty happy. It gave us, this is like an extra inch, inch and a quarter. So I'm just gonna kind of follow that line, freehand it, come up into the front bumper because the tire is rubbing against the front bumper here, the plastic and rubber coming off. The other side was already cut because of the tire, and then back here on the back I'm just gonna level it out so it kind of like falls right here. So that's it. Doing pie cuts. That way, as I'm cutting along this line, pieces will come off instead of one big piece. So let's start cutting. So what we're going to use to cut is a Dremel with a reinforced cutoff wheel. I do have a big cutting wheel or a die grinder or whatever you want to call it. But what I found out when I was doing the other side is that it cuts, but the cuts are not as clean. They're very jagged, and since it's so much bigger, I feel like it's harder to control, whereas with the Dremel, smaller, more compact, so you can kind of control the cut a lot better, and that's it. So I'm getting them. All right, so let's cut. Alright, so Mrs.TwoSix, I went ahead and did the cut. Mrs.TwoSix went back behind me and she sanded down the edge, the lip, kind of smoothing everything out, which she did. We bend this tab back. I have to bend this tab back because when you're full lock, the tire actually, mind you, I'm only running 15x8 at 0 offset. The tire comes dangerously close to this tab. So, I'm just going to go ahead, use the old trusty hammer. Nothing you can't fix with a hammer. And just bend it back. That's it. So now we're just gonna go ahead, put a coat of primer, let it dry, and then we'll go ahead and put the flare back on. Primer, I'm just using some primer paint that I had, some engine enamel paint that I had used for the diff. So that's it. Let it dry. Put the flares back on, and we're good to go. Are you recording?
Yes.
Are we good now? Okay. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it. We cut the fenders. Mrs.TwoSix sanded them down. We put a little bit of primer on them so they don't rust out or anything like that, and that's pretty much it, right? Yeah, that's pretty much it. All in all, I love the way it looks. I just need this car to be one color eventually and not 4 or 5. So, but I don't want to paint until I have the hood done, the front bumper, the sides, and then we paint. So I'm just trying to work on the more mechanical stuff. Next up will be the back end. So all suspension in the rear, destroyed eye knuckles, their uppers, new bushings, dual caliper setup, the whole shebang. We're gonna be freaking ready. The next event that I'm going to is August 27th to 28th at Sebring, and I'm hoping to have the car at least mechanically done. So it'll be a very different car than the first 3 events I went to. So I can't wait. It's exciting. More power. More fun. Alright guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Till see you next video. Peace.